on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Superpower Review. I'm your host, Ken Videnia, and today I'm going to be showing you guys two books that I picked up last week and how it completes a full run. This episode is going to be all about Swamp Thing, and I know I've been talking a lot about Swamp Thing in my previous episodes, but hey, in case if you're a new viewer of the channel, maybe you don't know how I feel about Swamp Thing. Obviously, you can probably already tell that I really like him a lot. So anyone who is new, I've discovered Swamp Thing. So here's one of the books I picked up last week. This is a reprint of Swamp Thing #1, which I had to pick up, of course, because I was waiting for my Swamp Thing #1 to come in the mail, and I wanted to get a reprint anyways because I wanted to read the reprint so I don't have to touch my nice raw copy, if you will. But these are really great, man. This is not a facsimile edition, so you're not going to get the old advertisements that you normally see in a facsimile edition, but it is a reprint of the artwork and story, which is really cool. And you get this really cool Bernie Wrightson cover, of course. This book happened to be only $1, so this is pretty much DC's version of Marvel's True Believers, if you will. So I was really happy to pick that up at the local comic book shop. You know, these are cool, of course, but the only thing that's like, you know, a little bit different, of course, is the paper is updated and upgraded. So you don't have that like old classic comic book paper. You know, the colors are very, very bright in the new editions of these reprinted books, but nonetheless, still really cool and helps you fill in what's going on in the story. So with that being said, of picking this book up, like I said in a couple of seconds ago, I was waiting for my #1 to come in. So here is the #1, just like the same thing, but this is the original comic book. And so I picked this book up on eBay, okay? And I have to say that I got this book for a steal of a deal, okay? I'm going to tell you how much I paid for this book. I paid $80 for this book. And as you can see, as you saw in that video right there, how pretty clean this book is. And you know, when the seller put it up for sale, you can see the pictures of the back. I'm not going to take it out of the bag, but the back looked really nice. And to say that I only paid $80 for this is actually pretty cheap for what they're going for, as to pose $150+, $200+. And the only thing that's wrong with this book, and I don't know how close you can get on this, Cody, is that we have a little nick missing from the cover right here. See where my index finger is right here? That is literally the only problem with this book. And you know what? For $80, I can live with that. I really can. So this kind of filled me in on what's happening in Swamp Thing. So like, I bought Swamp Thing #9. That was my first Swamp Thing book that I ever bought, because I just kind of wanted to see what it was about. I'll show you the cover because I have all of the books here. This was the first Swamp Thing book I ever bought, was this #9, this copy. And as you can see, it is beat. We have severe damage here, and you know, so whatever. I saw the cover, it was only $1, and I was like, you know what, maybe this is the opportunity for me to kind of jump on this train. I have to say that the show definitely built up the hype on me wanting to get into this, and a lot of people liked it. So I started off with this book. I started off with Swamp Thing #7, which is the first time Batman and Swamp Thing meet. And it piqued my interest, and it was saying, you know, maybe I should collect the full 1 through 10 run, which is what Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson worked on together. And I officially read this whole series, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, and this is why I'm coming on the show today, not only to show you the new books that I bought, to tell you how much I love this series. This desk is a mess right now. There's Swamp Thing books all over the place. This series is so good. It really, really is. And you know, I feel like why it's so perfect, not only because it's an interesting character, to be honest, but Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson together make one hell of a pair. Bernie Wrightson's art is really cool. There's a lot of times where you see in the panels of Bernie Wrightson's art where, Swamp Thing is coming up from the water, and Bernie Wrightson uses a lot of blacks to for that shadows, and it makes it really creepy. Another thing why I love this series too that I have to say is that not a single book out of this 1 through 10 run is boring. Nothing. None. I have no complaints about these books. Every single book is perfect in its own little way, okay? So in Swamp Thing #1, let me not tell you everything that happens, but pretty much Dr. Alec Holland becomes Swamp Thing. Him and his wife are working on a plant regenerative formula, and this gang called the Conclave pretty much wants to get their hands on it because it could be affecting their gang, and they're trying to buy off them, and this is a government protected formula, and so the Conclave is trying to get rid of it so it doesn't do them any harm. Of course they don't want to do it, and they end up killing Alec Holland in an explosion. The formula gets all over him, and he goes into the swamp and becomes Swamp Thing, and then tries to get revenge on his killers and his wife's killer. So that's pretty much the main basis, and like this whole story, Swamp Thing or Alec Holland is trying to, overcome this whole new body that he has, and it's just really fun. This is Swamp Thing #2. This is the first appearance of Arcane, who happens to be a doctor / wizard, and this was a pretty cool issue as well because for a split second, Alec Holland becomes himself again, and the Swamp Thing body kind of is switched over to Dr. Arcane, and so he wants to do harm with it. And here is the first appearance of Abigail Arcane and Patchwork Man. This just continues on, and it's just so good. This is pretty much your classic damsel in distress story. Pretty much there, and this one happened to be one of my favorites. This one I definitely would like to get a better copy. This one is not as good, and sometimes I just buy the lower copy because sometimes I don't know if I'm going to get interested in things, and then I end up getting interested, and then I have this lower copy and I want to get the upgraded copy. That always happens to me, always. This one, he fights a werewolf, and it's fun, and I really love these covers, and I really love the titles on these books. Swamp Thing #7 happens to be one of my favorites too because it's the first time Batman and Swamp Thing meet together. Swamp Thing goes into Gotham, but it never skips a beat, and it's a classic. So this is what I'm going to tell you guys, okay? If you want to get out of the norm, like how I've been feeling lately, and if you want to kind of like backstep away from the whole classic superhero, like, hey, I gotta go save my damsel in distress, or I gotta do this in order to save the world or save the city. If you want something different, try Swamp Thing. I'm telling you, this is such a great story. I know a lot of people aren't into Swamp Thing, but if you haven't given it a try yet, please do, okay? Because I've heard so many people, and I was one of those people that would say, Swamp Thing, he's just a freaking plant monster. Who gives a crap? But the backstory of this comic book series is just really amazing. Again, he's just trying to find himself and get used to this whole new body, and I'm telling you, the darkness to the art, the storytelling in it is just really, really good. So guys, I just wanted to jump on here real quick and pretty much say that I'm not going to talk about Swamp Thing anymore. I don't think so, because now I got my fill in, and I got to, complete the run and, talk about the story, but I absolutely love it. Again, if you want something different, creepy, sci-fi, pick up Swamp Thing. So guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you like anything that I had to say in this video, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe for future episodes if you're new to the channel. Oh, also, I'm going to be attending Rhode Island Comic-Con tomorrow, so if you're new and you want to see that, subscribe, hit that bell notification for when that video hits up, you get notified and you stay in the know. So that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.